Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I thought so. Second time lucky. Hello there. Welcome to Talking Balearics with me, Martin Makepeace. Not in Ibiza yet, but I will be this time next week, Richie.
Oh, Mark, they'll be dancing in the streets of San Antonio, no doubt. When you make your return, they'll be at the airport with
Well, to be
flags and
honest, mate,
everything.
I'm expecting banners and
Of
a
course.
few tears when I go back. It's been nearly 2 months I've been away, Rich. So
Really? Is it
yeah, I
really?
think it's nearly time to go back. I've enjoyed my travels, but got to get back sometime and see how the Whitehall's going. How are you, Rich? Anyway.
Yeah, I'm good. And I liked the pun from last week. That it should be called talking Balearics rather than Balearics, which is very good from whoever. I don't know who that was from, but
Well, it's better. It was my friend Charlotte, but it's better than what some people say about talking. You know what, mate? So,
yes,
but
exactly.
I presume they were talking about you, not about me, Rich. But how's Mallorca this time of the year, buddy?
York is good. It's still quite mild. Everybody talking about how good the weather has been here, but it's looking like it might get a little bit colder in the next few days. Bit of rain around, and for Christmas week, I think they say they're average around about 15 degrees, which is still not too bad. You are still in Bali. You're going to Australia for
Yeah, I'm still Bali.
the third test.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going to Adelaide tomorrow. I will get into Adelaide for the third test on Wednesday, which I'm looking forward to. And then when we have another crushing defeat, obviously for 2 days in, I'll lick my wounds and probably head back to Ibiza, mate. So such is life. It's just before we go on to the main podcast. How's the Christmas markets going on over there, pal? Because I haven't seen much on social media. I just wondered if you got some feedback for us.
Yeah, I've had good feedback about our Christmas markets, to be honest with you, Mark. There is quite a few actually now. Funny enough, I just visited one this morning to see one of the owners. It was a German Christmas market in Santa Ponza. And he said it had been very good. They've been open for about 4 weeks. They did their last weekend just gone, so that they're now finished up until Christmas. But quite a lot of the bigger ones, like there's one in Pueblo Español, which is in the center of Palma, staying open through Christmas and then up to Three Kings as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it seems to have gone quite well here, Mark. Is Ibiza the same? Have you heard the same?
Yeah, yeah. I obviously I still keep in touch regularly. I remember last week I talked about the big Christmas. There was a big Christmas concert last week for the Puente. Weekends are really busy in San Antonio. Ibiza town's always ticking over nicely. Santullalia is proving to be successful. So it's looking good, Rich. And as I said, I think the whole of Balearics is going to have a very busy festive season, which is good news, really.
It is good news. Mark, I just want to, I mean, I know we do talk about this as talking Balearics, but I just wanted to comment on, obviously, the awful scenes we saw in Bondi Beach yesterday in Australia. Yeah. You're obviously closer to that than we are. We obviously seen all the pictures and seen the newspapers this morning reporting it and everything else.
Yeah.
What sort of reaction has that had from your side of things?
Yeah, well, I'm staying in the house of an Australian who was on the phone all last night to family and friends. Her daughter actually lives in Bondi Beach. She said today Bondi Beach is absolutely desolate. No one's out. It's very eerie, as usual. As is usual on these cases that everyone knows somebody who was involved. So I think it's a tragic event, Rich. It really is. And I've read some reports. Australia have got some of the most strictest gun laws in the world. Yet, they don't seem to be immune to it either. So it's tragic events, Rich. It really is. And I think hearts go out to everyone who's affected. Special mention to Ahmed Ahmed, who is a genuine bona fide hero. The guy who ran up and took the gun off one of the assailants, because hero's a word that we bandy around a lot, Rich. Hero this, hero that, but he's a genuine hero. So and I've seen that he's already got £1 million in his GoFundMe account, mate. So
has he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's about. I know he didn't do it for the money. He was a split-second decision, but he's about to be rewarded handsomely for what he did. And I think he deserves every penny.
Totally agree. Thoughts with the families and relatives or friends of people that are affected by that. It's awful. I wanted to get onto something. Go on.
Yeah, well said, mate. Yeah, well said. I mean, talking Balearics, Rich, what have you got for me this week, mate? Because I know you, in your box of tricks, you've always got something interesting, which probably will include football.
Well, I don't know. We might. I thought you might get that in. I thought we might give it a miss this week. Actually, obviously, we'll find out about a little bit more about that a little bit later on. Then we are looking at social media. Actually, here in Spain, there's talk social media could be going down the lines of Australia. Actually, or what Australia has done. Interesting enough, here in Spain. Also talking about Calvia. Calvia, as we know, has gone over a big change over the last 2 or 3 years and has made it into a quite prominent list of places to visit that I'll tell you about very shortly. Also, I don't know if you've heard of the V16 beacon. I will tell you all about that because you will need to know about the V16 beacon that's coming up. And yes, of course, we will be talking football. Not it's my time. I'm 50-50 actually. I've had a good result and an.
You've got a good story, Rich. I know you've got a good story because I looked at the results and I watched the games of the weekend. So I know you've got a good story. Got 3 items for you this week, Richie. First of all, what would a Talking Balearics podcast be without a Airbnb story? So
yeah, saw that
story. Yeah. Secondly, something very interesting in San Antonio. The government have bought a building in San Antonio, which is a very special cultural building in San Antonio. They've got some ideas. I think maybe our listeners can help them with some ideas as well. So maybe put that to the floor. And thirdly, the Ibiza Hoteliers, which are a very strong lobby here on the White Isle. They have been sounding off about the biggest problem that they have during the season. They've also been telling everybody what 2025 was like. So a little bit of feedback from the hoteliers. And as you know, as a tourist destination, without hotels, we're nothing, aren't we, Rich? So they're a very powerful lobby.
Well, listen, 100,000 Spanish teenagers could be blocked from using social media as the Spanish government launches a major crackdown. It's all part of the plan to safeguard young people from the dangers of social media, and it's similar to the system which already exists in Australia or has been brought in Australia. The government is planning to raise the age for social media use to 16. Police, with these new safeguards in Spain, introducing an electronic age verification system. Users must verify their identity to access sensitive content online. This system has caused controversy over privacy concerns, they say.
Yeah, I mean, Rich, I honestly believe that we will look back on these times in 25 years or even 10 years and go, how do we ever let that happen? How do we ever expose our teenagers to so much of this nonsense online? So it would be interesting to see how the Australian the Australian model works, or the Australian experiments, if you will. Obviously, I was in Australia when the ban came in. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to some teenagers actually on that day, and they were a bit more like me. What can you do? You know. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But it wouldn't surprise me because Spain, being a very Catholic country and quite strict with their children and teenagers, it wouldn't surprise me if it happened, Rich. To be fair, and I, for one, as a parent, I wouldn't be against it.
No, I think I agree. Actually, I mean, but both mine are past the age now. To 16 anyway. So, but under 16s, yeah, you always worry about what they're being, what they're seeing, what they're being, not maybe taught, but what they're reading and everything else, and you wonder whether, they're being taught the wrong things, because we know what kids are like. They'll try and keep things back from their parents that the parents might not want to hear. Sometimes, they're not all little angels as we like them to think they are. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how they bring this in.
Let me ask you a question, Rich. When your kids were growing up and they're online, did you ever check what they were looking at ever?
No, not really, Mark. I have to be honest. No. I have to hold my hands up and say no. I mean, look, I have 2 boys that are obviously football mad, so we're out quite a lot playing football, whether that be training, whether that be playing on a weekend and everything else. Whereas, which is one of the reasons I did it. You know what I mean? It was obviously, listen, I'm a big football fan myself, so that was another reason I am, to get them playing. But there was 3 reasons. One was obviously, to get them out and about, not sit in front of a screen. 2 was from the physical point of view. Obviously, it would help their physical fitness. And 3, from a language point of view as well. It's very, very good because obviously most of the time they're either speaking in Catalan or Spanish. They're not speaking in English. So it was sort of a threefold thing for me to get them involved in. It didn't have to be football. It could have been any sport, to be perfectly honest, or any pastime. After school that they could have got involved with. I think for kids, it's one of the things we must do. And then you as a parent have to sacrifice a little bit of your own time and everything else in order to get them to where they need to be. Both my sons have been playing in Palma since they were quite young, so it's not that far away. Do you know what I mean for me? But it's an hour a day out of my time to make sure that they're there. And obviously, I don't come home. I stay wherever they are. Do you know what I mean? So
you want to explain to the audience what your Instagram handle's called, Rich?
Well, I'm called Dad Taxi, of course. So that is what I do, and I've been doing it. I've been doing
it. That's what it says on the tin, doesn't it, mate?
No, exactly. And I know most parents are like that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I wanted to give my kids the opportunity to do things away from the norm, if that makes sense, as in a screen in front of them morning, noon, and night. I don't think that's, for me, is the right way to go about it. And if I've got to sacrifice a bit of my time in order that they're gaining, then that's what parenting is about, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, Rich. And also, I think we're lucky enough in the Balearics. I can't speak for the rest of Spain, but I know specifically in the Balearics is there's so much options for kids to do. So when they go to school at the start of the year, you get this leaflet there, and it gives you literally hundreds of clubs. You can do anything, stamp collecting to gymnastics to karate to horse riding, so there really is no excuse for parents not to get their children involved in something. I mean, I'm like you, I had one footballer and one basketballer, so it was quite straightforward. And it was literally 5 minutes into town, so I wasn't so much of a dad taxi, but I'm a sports nut anyway, so I'm happy to watch any sport at any time. But I think something we're very, very lucky for in the Balearics, because sport is literally rammed down the kids' throats from day one. Which for me, I was all for that when the kids were younger.
Yeah, I agree.
Airbnb, Rich.
Yes, I saw this story. Interesting.
Yeah, something I saw it, and we talk a lot of Airbnb, don't we? But funny enough, I'm in Bali at the moment, and Bali, just the governor of Bali is trying to ban Airbnb. Yeah, and it's been overruled by the main government in Indonesia, because obviously you can't have certain islands doing one thing and the rest of the country doing another. So it's sometimes it's soothing to see that the rest of the world have got the same problems that we've got in the Balearics and in Spain. So a little story, Rich. The Spanish national government have fined Airbnb 64 million euros. Now, that's because there were 64,000 adverts on Airbnb without license or with the wrong information. Basically, what they're saying is Airbnb are profiting from renting out illegal units, and they are. It's as simple as that. If it's an illegal unit, Airbnb, the business model is they put on a percentage, sometimes can be 7, 8, 9, 10%. So if you rent a property for €2,000 or £2,000, you'll pay the owner £2,000 or €2,000, and Airbnb will often get €200 or €300 on top of it. So it is a cash cow, Airbnb, and the Spanish government said enough is enough. Now in the Balearics, we've got a real crackdown on Airbnb, but this is just one more fire from the gun for. Apology for that analogy, by the way. But it's one more little thing for the Spanish government to hold Airbnb accountable. Now, we are at a stage now where it's almost impossible to advertise on Airbnb unless you've got a license for your villa. In the Balearics, you can't rent apartments. I think that's right, Rich. If I'm not mistaken, I think you can't rent apartments. However, I did see that the appeals court the other week threw out the Spanish tried to take a lady to court. I think it was from Palma, mate, if I'm not mistaken, and she rented a room on Airbnb to somebody, and she won the court case. So that might have ramifications. But when it comes to accommodation, you're not allowed to rent apartments out. You're only allowed to rent villas out, and the villas must have licenses. And I think this is just another warning from the Spanish government saying they're not going to accept it anymore. So, and I think it does need clamping down, Rich. I've got to say it needs clamping down because the system is being abused. So again, I'm all for it, and hopefully Airbnb, the 64 million that they actually pay to the Spanish government, I hope they use it wisely. But I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, I think, listen, there's all manner of things you can add to that. Anybody that's renting illegally is obviously not paying any taxes, therefore not paying any eco tax, as in the tourist tax, or the people that are renting aren't paying a tourist tax. You could find a situation that as that property isn't licensed, where does it stand if there was a problem in the property, i.e. a fire or gas leak or anything like that? Where does the liability lie? Obviously, I imagine with the owner, but that could be out there as well. It's for me, it's a no-brainer. You rent a property out, you've got to have a license. I mean, quite a lot of apartments, I don't know if it's the same in Ibiza, but quite a lot of apartments here, Mark, have no tourist rentals signs outside, as at where I live now does. No tourist rentals, i.e. short-term lets. I think they let long-term lets happen, but short-term lets definitely not.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think we're both, funny enough, Rich, something we agree on.
Yes, there you go. Every day's a school day. But anyway, more importantly, a V16 beacon. You've not heard of a V16 beacon, Mike? I can't believe this.
Rich, please tell me what a V16 beacon is. I've just realised what it is. Yeah, tell me. Yeah, I do understand now because I've been looking at the WhatsApp groups, and I something to do with the car, isn't it, Rich?
It is, mate. Yeah, it's the replacement of the triangle, the luminous triangle that you normally put, I don't know, 150 yards out from the back of your car when you've broken down on the side of a road or a motorway. This is a beacon that is a GPS beacon, which basically sends out a signal to the gruer, as we call them here, which is a pickup truck or tow truck, whatever it's called in English, to come and pick you up. And obviously, it flashes as well, so you'll be able to see that there's a car on the side of the road. And you put it on your roof, basically. That's what it does. It's coming into force from the 1st of January. You can buy them in obviously, I imagine, hardware stores. I don't know if you've obviously, like me, got a company that you rent from or you lease from. They normally provide you with the beacon themselves. I'm just waiting for mine to come now. But if you don't and you are caught, apparently there's going to be an €80 fine for not having one of these beacons on your car. They've said that there's going to be a transitional period during the month of January where which fines won't be imposed immediately. But I don't honestly think that is going to wait. They're not going to wait too long before they start handing out those €80 fines, because as we know here, they love to give you a fine.
But what they also do, Rich, they go hard at it, don't they, to start with? So basically, they scare people into doing it. So when a new thing like this comes in, if you don't, for the first 2 weeks, they'll be fining everybody. Look at it, and the world will go round. I've been fined, and there's nothing better. There's no better marketing tool than somebody saying there's been fined €80 to about 20 people in a bar, and you go out straight away. There's a place in San Antonio called Thomas Green's, which is our British supermarket in San Antonio. They're selling them, and they're doing a roaring trade, Rich, a roaring trade. People are going there, picking them up. They're making it easy for everyone. So if you are in Ibiza and you don't know what they are, then just nip down to Thomas Green's and they'll solve it for you.
And let's be honest, I think it's a good idea personally. I mean, if you've broken down on the motorway, for instance, and there's not much of a hard shoulder, walking down that motorway to put your triangle out is not the safest thing in the world to do, is it? Let's face it. This basically is a beacon that will basically just literally stick on your roof. You obviously have to put your high vis jacket on and stand out of the vehicle. You must never stay in the vehicle. You need to stand outside the vehicle, normally over the wall of the hard shoulder if that's possible. And the beacon, as I say, flashes and also sends out a GPS signal.
Okay. Hoteliers, Rich, they're having a bit of a whinge. Okay, now
that's unusual.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? The hotel lobby whinges. Who'd have thought that, Rich? Eh?
Yeah.
They're slightly entitled bunch. They're slightly entitled bunch, aren't they, Rich? Let's face it. But they kind of run Ibiza, because without the hotels, we're nothing, I'm afraid. And I think they know that as well, don't they? So this is a loaded question because I'm sure you know the answer, but what do you think their number one problem was in 2025? Hoteliers.
Well, I would imagine it's probably Airbnb. It's for me,
Yeah, no, it would well close, Rich.
or
What it
illegal
is,
rentals.
well, no, I mean they're at the forefront of denouncing the illegal rentals, but the major problem for hoteliers is they've got nowhere for staff to live. So we're going to come straight back to cost of living and staff not being able to find anywhere in Ibiza. It's now costing. We haven't touched on this for a while, have we, Rich? But it's now costing €1,000 per room. Okay, per room, not per apartment, per room, to live. And the hotels are saying they can't find staff, even though the minimum wage has now gone up again, hasn't it, Rich? So the minimum wage went up in April 2025. So people are getting paid more, which we've always identified as a problem in Spain and the Balearics. But the hoteliers are basically saying 2025 was as good a year as 24. However, the overriding problem is that they cannot find living accommodation for staff. Now, we have a lot of hotels who put their staff in the hotel. So, for instance, the Melia Group, they might have 200 rooms and they'll have 50 for staff and 150 for clients, which isn't ideal. But if you can't run your hotel, then you need to find a solution, and that's the solution. So, not only are staff living in accommodation, so there's less rooms for tourists. So, but it's not going away anytime soon. I know you've talked about assisted housing and social housing before, but it's a record that keeps on playing on repeat, doesn't it, Rich?
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Obviously, here in Calvia, for instance, they've knocked down 2 hotels. As you know, the Taste, we talked about it last week, I think, and also there's one in Balearic, and they're going to open up green zones, of course, to sort of get that area away. Whether or not those sort of places could be used as accommodation for staff or workers or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes those hotels are an eyesore. I get it, and they've obviously been full of graffiti and everything else. Unless someone was prepared to take them on, that may not be the right answer. But we've also looked. You and I have looked at properties in second and third lines or off the beaten track slightly that could be maybe used, commercial properties. Interestingly enough, when I did have an interview with the mayor of Calvia last week, and he was saying that they just the point of purchasing a group of 11 properties up in Torrenova, which is just past the Punta Bayena if you're going up the hill, Cardiac Hill as we call it. Over on the left-hand side, there is a group of about 11 properties that they purchase or going to purchase, which they're going to knock down and make parking. Parking, obviously, once in sort of main town areas, is problematic for most people. Do you know what I mean? There doesn't seem to be enough parking spaces for the amount of people coming to work, but maybe they do need to look at these sort of things for accommodation for people that are working in hotels, bars, cafes, restaurants, etc.
Well, back in the old days, Rich, I mean, which you could probably remember, but I'm a lot younger than you, aren't I? So you can probably. So
that'll be that Botox, mate.
Well, listen, it's looking good, isn't it? Look, there you go.
Yeah, it must be cheaper over there, is it?
No, yeah, no, I wouldn't know, Rich. He says lyingly. Well, back in the day, Rich, my family used to work in Cadbury's. So to my mum's side of the family, they all worked in Cadbury's. And what Cadbury's did, they built a town called Bourneville. Yeah, so they built a town. They built a town. And basically, all the Cadbury's workers lived in the town, and they worked for Cadbury's. And it was assisted housing. It was subsidised housing. Most of my family lived in those houses all their lives, and then they gave it back to the company at the end. Now, why we've got several massive companies in the Balearics? Why aren't they thinking like this? Why aren't they going out building blocks or buying blocks of apartments, and using it for their staff? Because I can't see any other solution than that. So here in Ibiza, we've got the Makepeace group, we're Palladium, Ushuaia, the Universe now. They've got several businesses. I would have thought that they've gone out and they would build blocks of apartments, or even just use one of their hotels. They've got masses of hotels for their staff, because they're going to have to look for solutions to the problem, because you can't just magic up 1,000 staff who can't live anywhere, Rich, can you? And there's no real room at the inn these days. So I think we do need radical solutions to these problems now.
Interesting enough, Mike, it was last January, actually, I went to a private school in the UK to watch a friend of mine do a talk to the sixth formers. And we were talking to the headmaster before she went and did her presentation. And the village that we drove through to get to the private school was for all the teachers. As you got into the school, I said, "Oh, it's beautiful little villages you come from." He said, "Yeah." He says, "We basically own that. That's ours. We give those houses to the teachers. It is out there. It does happen."
These businesses in Ibiza now are mediocre, I presume, as well. Just imagine the money they've earned over the years, Rich. I mean, it is mind-blowing and eye-watering how much money they've earned over the years, and they never had the foresight to see this coming. I know that the Makepeace Group sold off a few apartment blocks not so long ago. So it baffles me really, Rich, that they're putting this problem onto the government or putting this problem onto the workers, where really, if you need these people, then you have to create an environment where they can work. And I just don't think the foresight's been there. But, that's probably my rant of the week, Rich. Usually you get a rant in, but, I mean, I'll have a little rant about this week.
Are we on to football now, or have you got something else?
No, I think you've got one. Have you got one more, Rich, or have you done?
Oh no, I have. Yes, sorry.
I was going to say. Rich, I know counting to three is difficult for you these days, but it is. The rules usually are 3 stories each, and if I'm not mistaken, you've only done 2. So
yes. So listen, have you heard of the magazine Condé Nast Traveller?
Yeah, I have, mate. It's a very high-end, super uber luxury publication, I believe, isn't it?
It is.
Condé Nast.
Condé Nast, that's how you pronounce it.
Listen, let me just educate you, Rich, because I know in deepest, darkest Calvia you don't get out very much. It's called Condé Nast, mate. Condé Nast.
Well, they've obviously been visiting Calvia, Mark, because amongst the best places to go in Spain and Portugal in 2026, second on the list is Calvia.
Ooh, that's good. I mean,
so there you go.
Is that another word for Magaluf, or is it just Calvia?
No, Calvia is the Ayuntamiento de Calvia, which is what would you call it? I don't know, the county, I suppose, would you call it? So it runs, I don't quite know how far down it runs. I think it's Peguera down to that end.
The municipality, Rich.
The municipality, exactly. Municipality,
yeah. So just to educate me, Rich, because obviously Calvia back in the day for us was just about Magaluf. What other areas are there in Calvia that other people might know?
So there's Peguera, Santa Ponza. There's obviously Magaluf, Palma Nova, Portals. Trying to think how far down they go before you start getting into Palma. To be honest,
Port Adriano, where you are, Rich.
Port Adriano, yeah, because that's Santa Ponza still Santa Ponza.
Because Santa Ponza is a cracking little place as well, isn't it? And I mean, Port Adriano is really coming up as well. So, I mean, the point I'm trying to make, and it is a bit long-winded, Rich, as usual, as it usually is with me, but perception's everything, and people say Calvia, they think it's Magaluf, but it's not.
No, it's not. Calvia does stretch to lots of different places. Calvia is a village. There is a village called Calvia, where the actual town hall is based, basically, and which is a beautiful village just outside of. It's just outside of Magaluf and Palma Nova. Actually, it's not far out. So, listen, I think it's a great thing.
Here's a quick. Well, it's not. There's no such thing as bad publicity, but that is very good publicity. But let me ask you this, Rich. So I'm a non-English person. I read Condé Nast. I think it's a great publication. I'm going to spend a day in Calvia. Where am I going to go, Rich? Listen, I'm going to say I'll ring up my favourite British radio host. I say, Richie, I believe you're the man. I've got Calvia for 24 hours, not even that, 12 hours. Where do you think I should go?
Well, Mark, I know you look at Magaluf differently to how I look at it. There you go, the snobbery in you, my word. Listen, you should know that obviously St. Regis have a beautiful 5-star hotel. This is St. Regis Mar de Val. Opening in 2026 is the Mandarin Oriental Punta Negra, which is happening out on the outskirts of Palma Nova into Son Caliu, actually, really, to be perfectly honest. That's opening. So those hotels are quite next door to each other. So if you were coming here, listen, I think I would ask you, what are you looking for? Basically,
yeah,
you know what I mean? First of all, what are you looking for? If you're looking for a beautiful beach, well, I'd send you probably to Magaluf, because Magaluf does have the most beautiful beach. And listen, I defy anybody, and I'll say this hundreds of million times, not to tell me that Magaluf doesn't have a great beach. And now it also has a promenade that you'd be proud of, and bars, restaurants, and beach clubs now. Listen, Nikki Beach is on Magaluf Beach. Nikki Beach is probably the biggest and best for the type of clientele that they are. For people to go to a beach club. So Nikki Beach aren't there for a laugh. They're there to make money.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that, Rich. I mean, listen, for the benefit of our listeners, I know Rich is a little bit of a stuck record about Palm over a promenade, but it must be pretty spectacular because he talks about it every single week.
But you've got to come. This is no word of a lie. Listen, I think I told you this the other week. I did something for the Times, and the Times were reporting on, are we going to start seeing jazz clubs in Magaluf? And I'll be honest with you, one of the presenters was so snobbish about it, and he obviously was never in his lifetime ever going to come to Magaluf. And I actually said to him, "Come, have a look." Yeah. And he was looking at me like,
Hope you went at him, Richie.
Well, I did slightly, yeah. Of course, me, Martin.
That's my point. That's my point, Rich. That's my point. Listen. We can't let the haters win, Rich. We have to find.
No, exactly.
Talking about haters, Rich. My final story before we come on to the football, which I'm looking forward to this week, is San Antonio's got 2 cinemas. It's got Cine Torres and Cine Reggio. Now, these are very old-fashioned cinemas, mate. Back in the day when we were kids, we used to go to the cinema with our parents. Like the red velvet seats and the old school screen. We've got 2. One's been open for the last 10 years. One's been closed. It's called Cine Torres. It's in the middle of town. It's near to the Egg. For anyone who knows San Antonio, it's opposite Whip's supermarket, which is a famous supermarket in the middle of town. Now, Cine Torres has been bought by the local government. Okay, they've paid 2.75 million euros for it. And this is quite interesting, Rich. About 2.4 of that has come from the Next Generation funds from the European Union to push cultural heritage. Yeah. So the government now own it. The rest of the money, I think 350,000, has come from the local coffers. Now, what they said was very interesting to start with, Rich. They were going to do a museum of electric dance music, EDM, electro dance music, which I think would be a fantastic addition to San Antonio. I think they've gone cold on that idea, but I think it's because, where better in the world to do electronic music than Ibiza, where it is the home of electronic music, if you will. So I think now there's going to be a bit of consultation. What should they do? It's going to be a cultural and heritage building, which always fills me with a bit of dread because I know what they end up doing and probably put some some kind of archaeological dig fragments in there, something that nobody's interested in. So I think this will be a developing story, and I really hope they can do something that is culturally important for San Antonio and Ibiza. And I say something to do with the music industry, something to do with DJs, something that's going to engage people, Rich. But I think that's exactly what they should be doing, rather than the same trotting out the same old Ibizanko dancing and a few fragments of jugs from the 2nd or 3rd century. Which, listen, it has a place, mate, but I don't think that place is in San Antonio. So let's watch this space. But it's interesting, Rich, because again, it goes in with the Tage, doesn't it? The Tage in Magaluf, also the Coup de San Miguel, the Cine Torres now as well. The local governments are now buying properties and improving the infrastructure and improving the towns, which I think is a really important point.
Yeah, and also a lot of people out there who obviously live here and everything else going, yeah, it's all coming from my taxes. No, it's not. Quite a lot of it's coming from European funds, to be perfectly honest, and also the eco tax as well. So it's not just down to us that we're footing bills here and everything else. It's not. And at the end of the day, listen, we live here, we work here, and we want it to be. You want to speak loud and proud about where you live and work. I do, particularly on a daily basis, to be perfectly honest. And you've just said about this museum, you should be shouting it out loud. You should be proud of the fact that you're the epicenter of EDM music. And if there was a museum about it, I'd thoroughly support it.
Absolutely, Rich. I mean, I'm going to take an active. I'm going to speak to the mayor about this on behalf of the British community as well, because I think it's a good chance for San Antonio to do something that's relevant, Rich. I think relevant's the word. Do you understand what I mean by that, Rich? I think relevant, because if they do trot out the same old rubbish, then it won't be relevant at all. But we've got a real chance now to be relevant. And
you're more likely to get your club goers to actually go to like a museum of EDM than go to talk about
absolutely
a beat dancing. And I don't mean that badly. I think that's what it is.
If they do a Beaton heritage over the years, then no one will go in San Antonio. Rich, as simple as that, and it will stand there empty, and it will look good, and no one will go. So they do need to engage people. So listen, we'll watch this space, but I'm going to keep on top of that, Rich. Now, listen, let's move on to the most important story of the week, please, Richie Pryor from Mallorca.
Yeah, it's the fact that Real Mallorca got a 3-1. Let's get that in quickly. Real Mallorca won by 3-1 against Elche. At the weekend. Best I've seen Mallorca play for a long, long time, Mark, to be perfectly honest. And Elche, who were at the time were 9th in the league, I'm looking at Elche going, really? These guys are 9th? Blimey. Yeah. They didn't have a shot. We scored their goal. It was an own goal from Maffeo that scored our goal. But
Rich. Yeah, Richie, listen, let's move on from
that. No, because there's a couple of things I want to talk about Mallorca. Number, if you've not watched the highlights. Watch the third goal from Mariki, because it is a fantastic header and a fantastic cross as well from, I think it was
He's a player.
Yeah. Well, listen, he's top goal scorer, as they call it, the Pichichi here in Spain. Kylian Mbappe has got 17 goals for Real Madrid. Ferran Torres has got 11 goals for Barcelona. Third in the table of the Pichichi right now is Vedat Mariki. He's got 9 goals for Mallorca, which is healthy to see from our point of view. We're out of the relegation zone. We're 14th in the league. We've got Valencia away. Then we've got a Christmas break, and we're back on January the 4th to play Girona at home.
Now, Rich, you've been banging on about this game for a long time now, which was obviously Portmany, which is my son's team, and Palmer FC, which is your son's team. Now, you've been pontificating about it for a long time. I'm coming to San An. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I mean, you bored us all senseless, Rich, here, which is, it's not. That's not saying anything these days, Rich. So, one, did you go to San Antonio?
No, I didn't, Mark.
Okay. I mean, it was a loaded question.
But
I knew that.
But I did go and support my other son, whose team were playing in Esporles, just so you know.
It was a good save. And just remind the listeners, what was the score between Portmany and Palmer, just out of interest, Rich?
Well, can I just add, obviously, because my son's the goalkeeper, before I read out the score, what happens in my son's team, Palmer, is that the goalkeepers alternate. So one boy plays 1 week, another boy plays another. So one of the reasons for me not to go to Portmany was the fact that it was my son's a week not to play this week. He played last week in a 5-0 drubbing of CD Menorca. So they played SD Portmany, and we went ahead, actually. I didn't know this, actually. We were 1-0 up. Can you believe it?
Okay.
We went 1-0 up. And he said, because obviously he was on the bench, he said, we were playing all right, Dad. He said, we're doing okay. Then all of a sudden, it went completely and horribly wrong. And I have to report that we lost by 5-1, Mark.
So little Portmany from San Antonio beat big Palmer team 5-1. Is that what you're trying to say?
You did, Mark. You did. I can't say anything. I can't say anything else. You're now in 5th place in the league. I've just noticed.
By the way, this is under 19s, should we say? Under 19 Juvenile Nacional, which is a second tier of youth football in Spain. And a big shout out to Santino, good guy, and I've known him since he was a kid. Got a lovely little hat trick as well, which I watched on the TV, which he did very well. So listen, I'm not gonna labour the point, but Biscuit Portmany, that's all I'll say.
Well done, Portmany. Well done. Congratulations.
It's always good to put one over on the big brothers from the other island, isn't it? So
and I really wanted to go and pick my son up at 10 o'clock last night from Palmer Airport after they got gubbed 5-1. You can imagine the face.
It's a long journey back after
it
that,
is.
mate. I've been there, Rich. I've been there many a time, mate.
Yeah, I did.
Richie, always a pleasure, mate. Next week I will be back in Ibiza. Look forward to catching up then, and hopefully the sound hasn't been great because obviously I've been travelling. So hopefully we'll get the sound up and running, and we'll get our little jingle back next week as well, Rich.
Good, mate. Enjoy the rest of your time in Bali and enjoy Adelaide. Let's hope you don't have to come home early. Let's hope you come home with we're 2-1 down in the series. Then you got a bit of a dilemma on your hands, haven't you? If that happens.
if we win the Adelaide test, then let's see what happens. I might not be in Ibiza if that happens. But listen, watch this space. Rich, great to speak to you as always, buddy. Have a great week.
And you, Mark, take care.